So hey everybody, good afternoon. My name is Michael Hamilton and I'm one of the founders of Swell. This short prezo here today will introduce our business model, our team, some of our systems and some of our achievements that we've had along the way. It'll be beneficial to investors looking for more options to put their money to work safely, and for those looking to start their first vacation rental project or eventually are inspired to build a brand of vacation rentals. So let's start with today. In the fall of 2017, what is LiveSwell? LiveSwell is a limited edition brand of coastal vacation rental properties in the raddest coastal communities. Currently, we operate in the Outer Banks of North Carolina and in San Diego, California. And we specialize in buying distressed real estate assets at a discount from fair market value. The bungalows are later renovated to restore their original charm, and we add a modern coastal feel in that renovation process. We list these properties and we market these properties for rent on our own website, liveswell.com, Airbnb, which has become very popular, and HomeAway. And we list them for families, friends, groups, and travelers that desire a traditional beach bungalow experience. And on the bottom here, you can see a couple of our vacation rental properties. You can see the Chill Beach and Surf Bungalow OBX, which is the original. That's the first property that we ever started renting under the brand LiveSwell. And just next to it is the Magical Bungalow OBX, which was our second acquisition. And I can assure you, what you're seeing today, it didn't start out that way. And what I was going to do now is introduce our team. Who are we? And our leadership. Here I am on the left, and my beautiful business partner Maria. She's also my girlfriend on the right. And after graduating from Cornell University and starting my first business while in graduate school at the University of California, I was attracted to real estate investing. I participated in many real estate investment transactions, including fix and flips. And you probably remember the TV shows on A&E, and they're still on A&E. It's with all those cool guys, lots of drama, buying, fixing, and selling properties. So I did a ton of those. I invested in long-term rentals. I invested in mobile homes, and I even underwrote short-term private loans with personal funds. Now, Maria joined our team a couple years back. She has tremendous skill sets in customer service, operations, systems, and guest communication. And along with our other team members, Maria's passion for service is why we've enjoyed the success that we do today and why we have the opportunity to grow and expand. So as a result, we've been very fortunate and grateful to work with outstanding folks and create a culture that's driven by our core values, which you can see here in the bottom right. It's driven by our mission statement and service vision, which you can see here as well, and which I'll read. So LiveSwell's mission is to open the doors to the surfing lifestyle for travelers who dream about life near the water and waves. And if we've done a really good job, we will have fulfilled our service vision, which is to create raving fans and epic memories. So why did all this happen? Why did we decide to build a limited edition brand of bungalows? And really, at the end of the day, what's our story? We had a strong why. We felt really lucky and grateful to have opportunities to travel, to surf, and live in rad coastal communities that naturally we'd fall in love with. We would indulge in local culture, experience new food, and simply live life. And a long time ago, I realized that most people float through life and simply exist. So traveling inspired us, like taking trips to Baja, Mexico, visits to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, living in San Diego, multiple trips to Costa Rica and Nicaragua. And if you're interested, you can learn a lot more about our story. It's a bit outside the scope here of this presentation, and we've created a separate presentation on our YouTube channel if you'd like to learn a little bit more about it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we believe that there's truly something magical about life lived near the water's edge and waves. And ultimately, LiveSwell is about recreating the laid-back surfing lifestyle experience that we love so much for fellow family members, friends, and guest visitors. And we hope you get the opportunity to experience it. So this is a brief timeline of events from LiveSwell's start through today. At first, we started as an online content producer of surf travel inspiration and surf travel information. The idea was incubated during an online marketing training course that I was enrolled with a buddy. And shortly after some initial failures, some disagreements, I said to my girlfriend Maria, we'd love to travel and stay in vacation rentals like Airbnb in rad surf towns. What if we bought one in an area we love, we dialed it into what we want, and have the opportunity to share the experience we love so much with fellow travelers? So in March of 2014, we bought the first Live Swell Beach Bungalow, the Chill Beach and Surf Bungalow BX, and it's been a great success. It's been a great success. In June of 2016, we acquired our second property, the Magical Bungalow BX, and at this point, we made it a priority to document all of our business systems so we could easily reproduce our model in the next rental. And around this time, we also earned a distinguishing honor from Airbnb called Superhost status. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on as we get to another segment. And lastly, the last thing I'll point out here is that earlier this year, we were interviewed by the godmother of the vacation rental industry, Heather Bayer. We also added our most recent OBX property, the Avalon Bungalow, and started renting our first property in Mission Beach, San Diego. So into the business model now, and it's the part that I'm really excited about. How do we find great real estate investment deals? Our business model at its core is very simple. We seek to identify distressed real estate assets in great coastal locations and acquire them at a discount from fair market value. We look for opportunities to add value. We ask ourselves, is there upside potential that we can observe within the first 12 months? Now, these can be things like renovations, expansions, or rebuilds, which force the appreciation of the asset upwards. It also allows us to push up rental rates, as a big part of our model is renting these properties short term for cash flow. Now, buying right allows us to keep our cost basis low, and creating equity, forcing the appreciation via renovation or other value adds, allows us to have options within the first year. And what type of options, you might be asking yourself? We can refinance. We can sell the property easily if it makes sense. We can implement a 1031 exchange or pull equity out for future acquisitions. So real estate investing, like all businesses, involves risk. Our conservative investing approach and our systems-dependent business model is designed to reduce our risk, it's designed to reduce our investors' risk, and ultimately keep our cost basis as low as possible, which widens our profit margins. So step number one is to identify distressed, unwanted, or dilapidated properties with marketing systems. So what type of properties do we target? We target properties that are in need of significant repairs, properties that the bank won't finance, properties that the retail buyer can't buy because they're using bank financing, and that lowers the demand and ultimately the price point. We look for commercial apartment buildings, boutique motels that are undervalued based upon the income approach. We look for stale and expired listings on the MLS, things that have long days on market. Why is it not selling? Property where the seller needs to sell quickly. Those could be scenarios where people are facing foreclosure, or somebody inherits a property, or there's a divorce scenario. And in properties with tire owners and landlords, which is natural in the vacation rental space. People get into it and realize it's not as easy as they first thought, not all rainbows and butterflies, and they move on. So step two is deal analysis and our investment buying criteria. And a couple things I'll mention here. The ability to identify a wise real estate investment opportunity is a learned skill. We make our money when we buy, which is the first profit center that we look at. When a person buys at a discount from fair market value, their net worth increases the moment that they acquire the asset, which is a really awesome deal. And it's a great way to protect the downside. So our goal is to buy distressed homes in growing coastal areas and target a 5-year internal rate of return in the 20+% range. So that's a metric that we look at, is the internal rate of return, and we like to see that over 20%. Every opportunity that we look at is ran through a financial model, kind of like the one that you see there on the bottom there, to evaluate return, upside potentials, and profitability. And we look at each project with 2 to 5 year objectives. 2 to 5 year objectives. And our business model and any rental real estate in general, it really contains two banks. There's the equity bank and there's the cash flow bank, right? So the equity bank is equity in the property, and cash flow is what you're left with at the end of your operations, your revenues less your expenses. And in the first graphic, you can see there, what's the goal? By year two, By year two, we want to have created or want to see in the property anyway, $100,000 to $150,000 of equity. And by year two, we want to see $7,000 to $15,000 of cash flow. At the end of the year, we want to have generated $7,000 to $15,000 of cash flow. Year five, the equity goal is $150,000 to $300,000, and the cash flow goal at year five is $10,000 to $25,000. And just the explanation here again. So how do we create all this equity? Well, we buy below fair market value to capture instant equity. We force the appreciation through the property renovations. There's property appreciation over the long term. Not that we bank on it, but properties held long term will increase in value. And then this is one that I love right here. This is our renters. Our renters are paying down our debt, and so we get the benefits of that. And our cash flow bank, well, we have high short-term rental revenues, off-season rental income, an efficient lean business model, and then all the deductions and tax benefits that you can take advantage of from owning real estate, the mortgage interest deduction, depreciation expenses, and things like that. So at the end of the day, this model gives us options. It gives us options to do more things. When we have equity in property, when we have great cash flow numbers, we have lots of options to do things. So how do we structure offers and acquire new assets? And unlike traditional buyers, we're educated in creative real estate financing and skilled in structuring deals that benefit all parties. At the end of the day, we're doctors, and we're doctors that are trying to come up with the right solution for the seller patient. Now, we can be very, very flexible on terms. We can come up with almost any term, but we can't be flexible on price. And we utilize a variety of creative financing techniques and traditional financing for acquisitions. So, for example, creative financing includes using credit partners, right? Using private lenders, having private individuals underwrite the mortgage or participate as an equity partner. Can we work with the existing ownership to do a lease option or a subject to or seller financing? And then we also leverage traditional financing where it's necessary. It's hard to beat the rates that banks offer. So where appropriate, we're going to use bank loans, portfolio loans, and commercial financing to help us through the financing part of real estate investing. One other thing I'll point out here is private investors and folks looking for more real estate exposure in their portfolio, they've gotten involved in these credit partnerships, private lending. In these deals, there's a combination of equity and credit used to acquire the asset and gain a return that's protected, secured, and insured. And if you guys go to our website at the end of this, liveswell.com/investors, we're going to put our credibility packet up there, which contains a lot of this information and contains a lot more information on what a credit partnership would look like, or what does a private lending scenario look like, which can be some very, very lucrative opportunities. So how do we rent and maintain high occupancy? Once we've taken title to the property, the next step is to implement our systems to get it rent ready and ultimately market it for rent. And we market our properties in several ways, and as a growing organization, we found leveraging the marketing power of large listing sites like HomeAway, who's now owned by Expedia, Vacation Rental by Owner, which is part of the HomeAway family, and Airbnb provides a high return on our marketing budget. We're also very active on social media, including Instagram and Facebook with thousands of followers. And we leverage online marketing tools to continually build our email list of renters and drive them to our website, liveswell.com. So how do we force property appreciation and rental rates? This is something I've been talking about for a little bit and excited to get into a couple examples here. So quite simply, we take ugly homes and make them beautiful again. Our years of investing have helped us develop skill sets in project management and residential redevelopment. We renovate our properties just after acquisition or in the winter when the rental demand is lowest, so we can take full advantage of that time. Let's see, these are some of the examples I was talking about. Over here we have the Chill Beach and Surf Bungalow, the original as we purchased it. And here's a more recent photo with new cedar shakes, new French door, and there's a new deck right there. We installed a central AC among many other upgrades. And just next to those, you can see how we gave the kitchen a modern nautical feel with open cabinetry, new hardware, sanded and refinished the cabinets with new paint. And continuing on, in this darker, scary-looking photo right here, in the darker, scary-looking photo, you have the second acquisition, the Magical Bungalow. And again, we installed new cedar shakes, which you can see right below there. Installed a French door. And just next to that, you can see the kitchen. This is the original kitchen up here in the upper right, and then down below you can see the renovated kitchen with new quartz countertops, gooseneck faucet, new cabinets, floating island with a butcher's block countertop, and a lot of really awesome upgrades. Now we are planning to have video of some property walkthroughs available shortly on our YouTube channel, and I suspect that's going to be in December of 2017. So keep an eye out for those. And here you can see some more renovation shots. And you know, you can always visit our website or the live listings on Airbnb and HomeAway. We'll point out a couple things here. To the left, we have this spa master bath at the Magical Bungalow that connects through a barn door. This shower has both a handheld one and a rain shower head, your choice. And as a bonus, we even added a nice shaving step that you might be able to see in there. And just over to the right of this photo, this is the kitchen of the Avalon Beach Bungalow, which is very similar to the Magical Bungalow. Actually, these tiles right here, these blue glass tiles, there were some leftover, so we threw them in that backsplash right there. But this is our most recent renovation, our most recent place, right next to the Avalon Pier in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. And just above this one right here is the oversized outdoor shower enclosure of the Chill Beach and Surf Bungalow, which our guests absolutely love. Our guests always make comments about that. And just to the right of that awesome outdoor shower in the upper right, that's back to the Magical Bungalow. And before we got our hands on it, there was an 8-foot ceiling. And we decided to vault that to the roof line, and we installed a nice big-ass fan, which you can see in that image as well. New tile floor, there's LED lighting in there. And lastly, the photo below it is one of the other full bathrooms of the Magical Bungalow that we completely renovated as well. So step number 6 is to repeat the process. As I mentioned before, we started to document all of our business systems down to the hardware, the renovations, the grout color, the paint color. So each time we added another property, a repeatable process could be followed. Early on in our investing career, we were fortunate to get our hands on a classic business book called The E-Myth. It's published by Michael Gerber. And this influenced our approach moving forward. It influenced us to approach this business and develop it systems dependent. So a lot of folks naturally ask us, how are we different? And as an organization, we've debated about this a fair amount. Yet we quickly realized that we have 3 distinct differentiators. Number 1 is the unique surf lifestyle theme and the amenities that go along with it. If you recall earlier, our mission is to open the doors to the surfing lifestyle and laid back living. So we provide our guests that feeling, starting with the decor. Some of our places, we have rum barrels. The Outer Banks has a very, very rich rum history, and those are kind of cool to have around. We have local seashells and sea glass in our place that have been found locally. The design of the place is coastal inspired. We have outdoor showers, surfing memorabilia like photos and signed images on the wall. There's other surfing art on the wall and things like this. And we also provide specific amenities. Like you can see in the photo there, the Gorilla Beach carts. They make it super easy to bring down gear to the beach. We provide boogie boards, surfboards, beach cruisers to increase people's reach while they're there, hammocks. Some of our places have chair swings, umbrellas, beach chairs, all these sorts of things. Number 2 is a commitment to customer service. And I'm somebody who pays a lot of attention to customer service in general in every industry. And I noticed that there was so much opportunity for improvement in the vacation rental space. Maria and I started to learn from industry leaders like the Ritz-Carlton through the book you see there on the right, The New Gold Standard. And we also learned from customer service experts like the DeJulius Group. And we've implemented systems called Secret Service, called Parting Thoughts, where we will hand deliver or leave on site something special for our guests. And this past year, We delivered Duck Donuts, which is a special local brand of donuts to most of our guests, and we even got one of our guests a telescope for stargazing. We got a tip that they were into these sorts of things just after coming up from South Carolina to see the massive solar eclipse. We figured that they might enjoy it. It takes our service to the next level and shows our guests that we care about them and their stay is important to us. And one of our guests this past year, Sean, simply loved this stay. His kids love this stay, and when the kids love it, the parents are usually going to follow suit. He turned out to be a producer for a well-known media company, so we sought his opinion about our brand and the Avalon Beach Bungalow where he stayed. And what we found was impressive is he was really able to distill the Live Swell brand, and he said that quote over on the left-hand side there. He said, "My sense is that you're trying to provide much more than a place to spend a night at the beach. These are curated experiences to be sure, but not just for the 1%. And he's right, our bungalows are affordable, the experiences are curated, and it is about much more than a commodity place to stay. Take, for example, the renovated kitchen of the Magical Bungalow that I described in detail earlier. The level of detail that we put into our properties and the experience is not by accident. It's all by design, and that's why they're limited edition. And just one other note on the Magical Bungalow, it's definitely one of my favorite places to stay. You saw the French doors that were installed in an earlier photograph. You go out to a covered porch and you get a beautiful peekaboo view of the ocean, which is pretty awesome. So what are some of our achievements and our accolades? Well, we've had many achievements in the first 3 rental seasons that we're proud of. Being recognized as Airbnb's superhost is one of those. In Airbnb's words, superhosts are experienced hosts who provide a shining example for other hosts and extraordinary experiences for their guests. Another achievement that we're proud of was being invited as guests on the Vacation Rental Success podcast earlier this year. Now, the host is Heather Bayer, basically the godmother of the vacation rental space. She specifically asked me to speak about topics like how we've been able to create raving fans, practical investing strategies, and our approach in general. And these podcasts can be listened to directly on your phone or computer, but please do not listen to these if you don't like this voice. You can hear a lot of it, and they'll appear under the Vacation Rental Successes episodes number 178 and 170 if you want to check those out. So what do our guests say? We've been fortunate and grateful to have great guests. We're not batting 1,000, but we're doing really well. One of the more humbling things about the vacation rental business when you leaf through your guest book, where each guest has the opportunity to leave behind a handwritten personalized message, from time to time you read something like, "This is a trip that my family and I will never forget. Thanks for sharing your place." And these are the kinds of messages that continually remind us why we do what we do and why it's important. In here, there's a few of the guests' reviews that I took some screenshots of that were listed publicly on Airbnb. There's Sean mentioning that you're going to love it. Just next to him, there's Shauna, a guest now that we've hosted multiple times in multiple Live Swell bungalows, and she thanks us for this option. And just below her, on the bottom left-hand side, there's Laura. Laura and her friends came for Memorial Day. They had a fabulous stay despite some thunder and rain, but they absolutely love it. And Dan, on the bottom, not on the bottom right there, but in the middle, talking about his incredible stay in the classic California surf pad. So where are we headed? We do have plans to continue to acquire more single-family, traditional vacation rental properties. We have plans to acquire light commercial properties like boutique hotels, cottage-style motels, small apartment complexes in coastal communities on the East Coast, of course, on the Outer Banks, but also in the Northeast in areas like Long Island that have awesome access to places like New York City and just really rad coastal communities there. Continuing expansion on the West Coast in San Diego and the other coastal towns in California, maybe even Baja California. But ultimately, we would like to continue our growth and expansion globally. This would give folks the option to experience laid-back coastal living and the surfing lifestyle worldwide. Interested in investing with us? Good news, you're not alone. You're not alone, and investing with us is not for everybody. Be sure to visit us at liveswell.com/investors to get a copy of our investor packet, which includes all of the topics that we've discussed here and covers in a lot more detail the concepts of private lending, credit partners, and other investing options with LiveSwell. Now, I can personally be reached at mike@liveswell.com. You can see the email address there on the bottom right. And I want to take a moment, just thank you for listening, and we wish you all the best in your real estate investing and vacation rental endeavors. And awesome.